All right, guys, welcome to the Fantasy Sports Wrap. Michael Potter and Darren Phillip. And Darren, we had an extended week, but some things don't change. The West dominated again, won 3 out of the 5. Pride, the only one in the East to get a W, and you ran to a tie with Tom Brown. So right now, Pride has retaken the lead, and the top 3 in the West are just kind of shuffled positions. That's about it, though.
Pretty much. You know, it would have been nice if this was just a regular week, because I was up 8-2 after 1 week of play. And the last 3 days did me in.
Well, you know, Tom, I mean, we always start talking about your deal first because yours is typically more dramatic. I mean, I got out to a big lead. Schuff, he decided, I think he decided, hey, Potter's got a lot of closers, so I can't go closer. Just closer, ERA whip, so I'm going to grab some guys early. And his guys got blown up, which we've talked about it, man. There's not a lot of good pitchers out there. You gotta get lucky, really, when you pick anybody that's left up on waiver wires. You got to kind of get lucky. He didn't. I had a huge lead in the ERA and whip, and my guys hit, and so I kind of could just pick and choose when I wanted to throw pitchers in. I didn't have to worry too much about that part of the category. And on about Thursday or Friday, he had sent me an email saying, oh, call off the dogs. I'm a middle school principal. I believe in the mercy rule, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, right. Well, 2 days later, man, it got tied again, hitting. And I'm like, dadgummit, that guy's going to come back. And so I shot him an email and said, hey, you still want to raise the white flag? You still want to give up? And he's like, well, we'll see. And then I kind of took off over the weekend and got him 9-1. But he really, honestly, those pickups he made, we've talked about it. It's hard to find guys on the scrap heap that pitch well. Sometimes you do, but most times you don't. And that really gave me a lot of wiggle room in my pitching this week.
Yeah, especially if you're talking about some of these younger pitchers that, they show some flashes of brilliance for about 2 or 3 starts.
Right.
But you just don't know what's around the corner, And I think for him, Gibson was a guy that, he was enticing. I was looking at him for this week. He had 2 starts.
Yep.
But after examining his matchups, and I think he was against the Angels and I think the Yankees were his 2 opponents this week. He didn't have good lifetime matchups against them, so I stayed away from the guy. And it held true to form. He got hit in both games. So, that's I had a very good week for my standards. I'm playing the top team in the league, and so I can't complain about a 5-5. The only disappointing thing is that the Slammers and Bandits really took it on the chin. They each lost 1-9.
Yeah.
And I was only able to manage a 5-5 tie. So I picked up 4 games on them. But, I lost ground to Pride because I think, picked up 7 wins, I think, in his matchup.
Yeah, he went 7-2-1 with Domorowski, yeah.
Yeah, so, but, I rolled the dice. I, obviously cut the guy I traded for. That was kind of a gamble. And maybe panicked a little bit, made some pickups and trying to get things going. But you know what? It is what it is. And I only lost by a run. I was that close to making it a 6-4. Only lost by 2 home runs. And fortunately, I was able to pick up whip at the end because Burley got hit and I had 2 guys pitching and I was able to sneak that one out because I was kind of dreading, oh man, I'm going to lose 4-6 to this guy after leading most of the week. But was able to salvage a tie, so I'll have to take that and just roll with it on to next week.
When you didn't get when I look at how things have been playing out, Tom Brown for the second week in a row has got good pitching on the weekend to really save his week, save his matchup.
His no-hitter really,
for
Hamels on Saturday, I mean, that was huge.
That helps.
It helps. Yeah, I was able to get back and get whipped though because that was he ended up taking a lead there. And then I started thinking, do I throw pitchers out here towards the end? I was like, you know what? You just got to do it. You just never know what's going to happen. And I was leery about throwing Malone out for the Twins on Saturday, and he got hit around. He started out great, then he started getting hit around. But the guy that killed me was my closer, Perkins.
Yeah.
I mean, he came in. He hadn't blown his save in about 3 months. And now he's blown 2 since the All-Star break, and he really got hammered. A-Rod did both those guys, and he had 2 home runs off my starter and 1 off my closer that game. So, it was a tough Saturday for me, and he started making some ground up. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe it. I lost this lead, but 8-2 would have been great. Would have been outstanding.
Well, one of the teams you mentioned that only got 1 win is Baracho Bandits. You look across his numbers, and yeah, they're down, but he happened to play a team that you could argue that Docs and Jocks might have had a buzzsaw week. a couple of their home runs were down, their RBIs were down a bit, but boy, they scored 65 runs, hit over 300, the only team in the league that over 300. They had 116 strikeouts, but Pat had 112. He lost 7-6 in wins. Their ERAs were both 2.6-ish, and then he had a great whip, but he played the only team to go under 1 in whip. So Pat, playing anybody else probably would have been more like a 4-6 or a 5-5. But he got Docs and Jocks, and they scored just enough runs and RBIs and homers to get the win, or I should say homers and RBI, because they wouldn't have beat a few other folks in those categories. But once again, their pitching just really dominated and locked down 4 categories for them.
Yeah.
And it was their starting pitching. Guys like Kershaw having 12 strikeouts or whatever he did each day.
They were very close to running the table. I mean, whip or ERA was that close. Pat only won by like 6 thousandths of a point or something like that, and so that could have been a clean sweep. But 1-9, that's tough. That's tough to go down there at this stage of the game. I've got Domorowski coming up this week, so I need a big week, no question about it.
Well, if you run the same numbers you did this week, I mean, you would have beat Domorowski. Yeah, you would have. What your problem is with your pitching? As I look at it, you guys don't get wins, man.
No, I don't.
I mean, your ERA was high. This you talked about because you had a couple closers get blown up and stuff. But a lot of times you'll have a nice ERA, a nice whip that puts you right in those areas, and the strikeouts you're right there with anybody you play, and you'll have 2 wins.
Yeah.
After throwing like 60 innings, 70 innings, you get 2 wins.
Very hard luck with the wins. I got 2 guys on the Pirates, and they're a good team, but they just don't give run support for these guys for Garrett Cole typically, and Liriano has struggled getting run support too, so that makes it tough, and it puts me behind the 8 ball, and it pretty much put me out of it this week. I just couldn't get the wins. I ended up losing 8-3. Bullpen's still solid. I was able to hold off Tom with that, even though I didn't get that many saves this week, but just enough to win. But hitting wise, I can't complain. My guys hit very well. I hit for a decent average for a change, hit 286. Pretty much controlled RBIs for the whole week and stolen bases. So,
well, I've got to bring this up. I traded Elvis Andrus to Schuff for Carlos Gonzalez, and that was his choice. I just said, hey, who do you want? Pick anybody. He gave me Cargo. Cargo was 11 for 28 this week against his old owner. 9 runs, 5 homers, 12 RBI, and hit 393.
Holy cow.
And he's dropped Andrus since. He did, but Andrus hasn't been doing much. Cargo, it's taken him a while, but me, I stick with these guys, and it paid off this week. And then just a shout out to Kim, we haven't mentioned it much. Michael Brantley was 12 for 34 this week with 3 runs, 2 homers, 9 RBI, and 353. So that's just a shout out to Kim.
Way to go, Kim.
I got lucky this week, though, too. We've talked about luck and how important it is, and it's hard to quantify how much of it is luck and how much of it is you can do all the studying you want, but I got 9 wins this week. I got 2 from Axford, and I picked up, I think, 3 or 4 closer wins this week. Just guys at the right place at the right time, or they'd blow a save, but their team would still win it for them. So I got really fortunate in that category and got a lot of luck this week in my pitching. But I tell you, the scary thing when you look toward the playoffs is right now Docs and Jocks is the number 1 team in the league. I'm not happy with how they do the standings because it has me listed as 4th in the league, even though I've got more wins than Tom, which I don't understand how you can have more wins and still be behind a guy. But I get it. I know how you crunch the numbers. Docs and Jocks, they're susceptible in hitting. I've said this all the time. They are susceptible to being beat in hitting. But their pitching has just been cruising. And they've got a couple closers, and I mean they're tough across the board in pitching. And if they happen to, and like for me matching up, I don't steal bases, so that's another category, So it's too early to start thinking about the playoffs of how you craft your team, but it's kind of in the back of my mind of like, okay, I'm in that 4th spot. I'm 7 games up on anybody, Mounties in that, playoff spot, because basically Docs and Jocks and me have 84 wins. Brown's got 83, and then Pride's got 78. So I've got some room there. But I'm starting to think, how do I beat these guys if I match them in the playoffs,
Right.
Because they've got a good team. Docs and Jocks is really the team to beat. And then Tom with his pitching is going to be right there too.
Well, and Docs and Jocks, they got the hitting this week. And when you got the hitting to go along with your pitching, they had been, like you said, they can be up and down a little bit. They've had some down weeks when it comes to hitting. But, you talk to Pat, and they really, they really took it to Bandits this week to get that big win. So, Yeah, those two teams, and you got to throw your team into the mix. I mean, you got to basically an all-star lineup there, and you're working your pitching out right. Not all your pickups work out, and you understand that, but sometimes you can get a guy will come out and have a bad outing, and then you just stick with him, figuring, all right, well, he should come out and pitch a pretty good outing this time. So, um, I have to say, I'm gonna put. I hate to do this to you. I'm gonna tag you as a favorite to
Oh
to win
boy.
this whole thing.
I'm playing. Who am I playing this week? I'm gonna go like 1-9 this week. It's like fall all the way out of the
The
playoff.
match this week. All right, I want to
That's
see
funny.
who I need help from. Who I can
I think I've got Baracho.
Yeah, you do. You need
Yeah,
to
so you
pummel
need
him.
me to you need help from me, and then Slammer's just playing Tower, I think. So this is gonna be weird for you. You're gonna start rooting for Tower this week. That's gonna be hard for you to do.
Not necessarily, it's all about making the playoffs. So go Tom.
I was getting these texts like, "Can you believe this guy? I can't believe it." I'm
Yeah.
texting you like, "Are you kidding me?" Like some of his pitching and stuff.
I didn't even realize that Hamels had thrown a no-hitter until I looked later. I just saw that he threw a shutout and he threw 9 innings and struck out 13 guys. And then I went back and looked at the box score. I'm like going, "Are you kidding me? He threw a no-hitter? Oh my gosh!" And that solidified him in the ERA.
I'll tell you one thing as we kind of close this out. I have gotten lucky with some of my pickups, but I picked up Latos. He got tagged. Hamels, who I got after Pat, I think, dropped him. He got tagged in his second outing. I've got Garcia, your guy, and he's going to start Tuesday, and I'm like, I don't know, off an injury. Who knows what he'll do. But I got lucky with Ian Kennedy, and Ruby De La Rosa gave me 2 good starts in a row. I'm like you. Those young guys, if they get 2 good starts, I'm nervous about them the next time. But if they've had 2 bad ones, I kind of look at that and play it as opposed to look at their matchups because those young guys don't have a ton of matchup stuff to look at.
Right.
But I did a stupid thing. I was looking at what I wanted to do on Sunday, and I was 10 strikeouts up, and I thought, well, I'll grab one more guy. I'll grab Latos. I had my eye data on him. Well, then I get the thing that after A-Rod's 3 home run game, they're going to sit him. And I'm like, once again, okay, great. You guy's hot. Bench him. Smart move. Needs a break for hitting 3 home runs. He's a DH for criminy sakes. But
Well, he was tired, man. That's a lot of home runs in one game.
trotting around the bases. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, so I'm ticked. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not using all these things. I'm gonna drop Kennedy and De La Rosa to pick up Latos, and I'm gonna get Brandon Phillips because he scores some runs and I need runs. And boom, and I do them both, and then I look and I go, I can't put Phillips in my lineup. He's only second base eligible. A-Rod's in my third base spot, and I'm like, oh, if I'd have remembered that, I wouldn't have picked up a third baseman because there's nobody out there I liked, and I wouldn't have dropped Kennedy because he's actually pitching really good.
Yeah.
Of late, and he's probably going to get traded. And I was like, that's why I don't do what Darren does and Tom does, and picking up all these different guys because and move them in and out. I almost have to have a set kind of lineup and very limited options because whenever I have more options, I blow it. It seems like.
Yeah. Well, it's working for you. It didn't hurt you at all. So that's
Yeah, but without that move, I would have used 3 transactions this week. Not my all 6. I mean, you look at Schuff and Tower, transactions are gone. They're playing it straight. They're all gone.
for this coming week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Towers used all of them up too, huh?
I believe he has. I was surprised by you that you haven't used any, have you?
Well, my internet was down. No, I'm just kidding. No, I had a
a new
couple
you.
guys in mind, and in fact, I had the third baseman for the White Sox in mind, but Tom picked him up on Sunday before the changeover, and he actually started him against me, and so I had him in mind, and then you know what, I've got a couple guys in mind. I will be most likely be making a pickup this afternoon, but I've got
Who do you got in mind?
that I've got to. Well, you'll find out.
No, tell us. Come on. I told you guys about Kennedy being available. For the good of the show, Darren, who are you going to pick up?
No. Hey, posted after the roster.
After they lock?
Saladino, Tyler Saladino was a new guy for the White Sox, a young player. He's their third baseman, hitting second in the lineup, I think. And I was looking at him, and Tom picks him up. I'm like, are you kidding me? Is he in tune with my watch list? Does he know what I have on my watch list? Because he picks up a lot of guys that I'm looking at.
When you turn on your computer and log into your ESPN, does it go bzz or anything like that? Like has Tom bugged your computer possibly?
Maybe.
Maybe send a virus.
And I'm starting to think too. I don't think this is Tom's first rodeo with fantasy baseball. I'm getting the impression that he's kind of been sandbagging it, and because he's making some pretty veteran moves here, moves that you and I will make, or guys that have been playing this for a long time, and so I don't know. I'm just
You think he's playing that whole like jovial, fun guy? Like, whoa, I don't know how this is
well,
happening.
man, yeah, I'm starting to play down to my skill level now, or I can't believe this is happening. So I do have Tom for one more matchup. I play him again.
Do you
Believe
really?
it. I do.
Do
I
we
do.
play again? I can't
I
figure
think
up these.
so.
I can't figure out this scheduling really.
Kind of a weird schedule, yeah, with matchups with the other division. Let me check here real quick, and
No,
then we
Tom,
can.
I'll correct it as we're getting ready to close out here. Tom's got one more transaction, but Schuff is done. Schuff dropped Parra and grabbed Santana, which Irvin Santana is one of those guys out there that has been on the waiver wire that I've looked at, and he's pitched really well. I think that's a good pickup, Irvin Santana. He also grabbed Preston Tucker, and he grabbed Conforto, I guess that's how you say it. He dropped Pedroia because you look at Schuff's team too. He's got a lot of injured guys, and Pedroia went on a DL, so he had to just because right now if a guy goes on a DL, you're only going to have him pick him up for about maybe 3 more matchups. So
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
unless you're in the playoffs pretty safe and you want to hang on to these guys, you should probably drop DL guys. Like, don't even put them on the DL.
Right. I do have Domorowski twice, which is a positive, but I've also got you, Docs and Jocks, and Power left in my schedule, and
Oh,
then
you got to go
Mounties.
through the buzzsaw.
Yeah, I got to go through it. It's gonna be tough.
Mounties is a team that's sliding under the radar a bit, and if you're Mounties, you're sitting there going, what do I got to do to make up ground? You pull a 7-3 and you lose ground,
Yeah.
But he's right there. The problem with Mounties is in this division, if he was in the East, he'd be in second place right now in the East, But
Right.
he's in our division, so he's like 7 games back of me and Tower to make the playoffs. But anything could still happen. But it's a tough draw. Mounties actually, he was in Seattle for those Blue Jays games.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, I emailed him and I texted him and said, hey, so did you enjoy the game last night when Toronto came back and crushed my closer? And he said, yeah, I actually was kind of laughing and telling my buddies about that when we were watching the game, that this is Potter's closer. And stupid McClendon did the same thing again. He brings him in, he gets guys to base loaded, and he pulls him out, and another guy comes in and gives up the runs. It's like, why?
Yeah.
I don't understand that, dude. And then the next day, Rodney nor Carson Smith even pitched that Belson or whatever guy threw.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing.
I don't get what they're doing in Tampa Bay still with Boxberger. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe they're showcasing McGee because they're going to trade him. I don't know. But Boxberger hasn't pitched since they put him in a tie game in the bottom of the 9th inning, and he gave up a walk-off hit. It's just
why? I don't understand that.
Very strange.
Well, there's been a couple of trades. There's going to be more. Hamels will probably get moved. I honestly don't know if that really affects too much, other than if you got a guy, it might, like Cueto going to the Royals. Now he's got something to play for, to pitch for. That might amp him up even a little bit more,
Right.
I think the biggest one... Go ahead, sorry.
He had a good final outing, though, at Coors.
Yeah, he did.
With Cueto, both those guys did. Hamels throws a no-hitter, and Cueto pitches a great game in Coors. So, maybe they're hoping to get traded. So they're like,
Yeah.
I really need to go out and pitch today so I can get on a contender.
What it really affects, though, is closers, right? I mean, because guys are gonna get traded, and it could affect negatively. Like if Jim Johnson gets traded from Atlanta to somebody really good, they might already have a closer, and they might bring him in as an 8th inning guy, and then that screws me up,
I would say, hold on, I got to do something here. There we go.
Was that Tom trying to log into your computer?
Yeah, I think it was. It comes in, carrier update available. I think that's like a disguise. That's like, do you want to do that now? And I keep going, not now, not now. And it's probably
Tom's on his computer going, it's going to lock soon. Come on, accept.
Yeah,
I need to.
Anyway, we're getting back to the closers. I think it's probably a pretty good chance if your closer is getting traded somewhere, he's going to be a setup guy. Because most of the good teams out there, the contending teams, they have a set closer. You're not going to find contending teams. We've talked about this before. They're going to be going at it by committee. They have their set guys. They come in a certain, and so they're going to be using a closer from another team to kind of bolster their
Right.
7th and 8th inning guys. So if your closer gets traded, chances are it's not going to be good. Now, if you're, I've got Boxberger. If McGee gets traded, that's going to, I would think, open the door for him. But with the way Cash operates, the manager there, I'm still not sure what they're going to do there. So it's
Yeah,
tough
I'm
to
trying
say.
to think of it. I mean, look, your guy could come in and be the guy in waiting. Rosenthal struggled a little bit in St. Louis, so if they traded for Johnson or Boxberg and that guy pitched good in the eighth inning, he could turn into that. But you can't really hang on to him if he gets traded. And I'm talking about Johnson because Atlanta needs to trade him more than likely. He's never going to be more valuable than he is right now. Or Kimbrel with San Diego. If they get traded to a team that says, hey, they're going to be our setup guy, you got to drop the guy, right? You can't wait around for 4 weeks for him to earn the closer spot or something. You're probably going to drop the guy at that point. I'm looking. I mean, Toronto, they're in the mix now, 6.5 back. They could. I mean, they got a closer, but
yeah, that's one team that's
not locked down.
That's one team that doesn't have a set guy that they can go to, and they're decent. They're playing
Yankees. They still go with their set guy, or he got Miller. He was hurt a little bit.
I think he's back now. He's their main guy.
Astros?
Astros are a team.
They're a game back. Angels, well, the Angels might be interesting just because Houston Street, he's back now, but he had that injury.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple in the American League. National, Storen's got that. Mets, Familia's got that. St. Louis is Rosenthal. Dodgers is, what's his face that Shuffy's got. San Francisco, maybe?
Yeah, that guy Casillas been closing.
Yeah, he's been pretty good, though. Yeah, you're right. If your closer gets traded, if you got a closer on a bad team, he's a setup guy.
It could be okay, but chances are it's not going. It's gonna put you in a bad spot. So then you got to look at who's stepping in now to replace him. That's an option too.
Yeah, if you're out there and you need closers, I would be doing my research now I would look at who the top closers that might get traded are, what the buzz is, like Johnson, maybe a Smith, maybe, and I would start looking at who's their eighth inning guy. Or who's their young guy in the minors in waiting or whatever,
Right.
That's the guy you want to be the first one to grab and pick up, and you can snake a good Grilly went down, and I picked up Johnson within probably 30 minutes of that news coming out, and he's got me I think 3 saves since then.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. All right, man. Well, I know you had a roller coaster this week because you were down when we did the last broadcast thinking, oh, man, I might get run here. Then you had a nice little comeback, and you're like, man, I could run him, and then it just ended up with a 5-5.
Yeah, it was. I have to say, disappointing. I mean, especially with the results from the other teams in my division. It was just that's where you have to take advantage. And if you're really going to make a serious move and try to make a playoff run, you've got to go 7-3, 8-2 in that situation. I take it a 5-5. I make up 4 games on Slammers and Bandits. Lose a little ground of pride at this stage of the season. You just can't be doing that. So, I've got Domorowski twice, but I've got 4 tough matchups. Out of my 6 remaining weeks, and so it's going to take a minor miracle, I think, for me to make a playoff run. But it can happen. You never know.
Yeah, this would have been a nice. I mean, if you could have got
that would have been huge.
7 or 8. Pick up 2 more games. The way Schuff and Pat struggled.
Yeah.
But like we said, Tillman Pride was really the one who was able to take advantage of that playing Domorowski, but he didn't put up massive numbers. Tillman Pride, he put up good enough though. And was able to get that victory, and now back in first place.
Yeah.
So, I will be interested to see what Schuff does this week because now he's playing he's playing Tower who doesn't have as many closers, and it looked to me like his pickups weren't pitchers, so maybe he's not going to go with a lot of starting pitchers. He's going to go with the ERA and WHIP again. So.
Well, he did pick up one guy. He did pick up one starting pitcher.
Is that last
guy? He dropped one and he picked one up. He dropped Ramirez on Tampa.
He picked up Santana.
He picked up Santana, yeah. But he dropped Parra. He had Preston Tucker. And then, of course, this Conforto, who's a top hitting prospect for the Mets, who just got called up, had a couple nice games. I don't know, the jury's still out on these guys. Like I said before, I'm not wild about picking them up right away. I had him on my watch list. I had him on my radar to see how he would do. But to pick him up after a 3 or 4 game sample, I think one game he was 4 for 4. But I don't know. It's a tough call. Having guys like that helping you out down the stretch. But Schuff's been doing it all year, and he's in second place. He's just a little bit out of first. So
yeah.
Can't fault him too much for doing that.
Well, guys that I see out there, Grandal is now dropped by Brown, and he's been missing games because they said maybe a jaw injury. But if he gets healthy, I mean, the guy's hitting 281. Doesn't put up huge numbers, but that Dodger lineup's picking up again. The guy I keep waiting to take off is this Jimmy Paredes for Baltimore, but he's supposed to be having decent numbers, but not a lot of runs, RBIs, and homers. But he's hitting decent, but sometimes he's in and out of the lineup. They monkey around with him.
that's the problem with him. There's no consistency. Showalter brings him in and out of the lineup. He could
Yeah.
have a 3-for-4 game and he's sitting the next game. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The same with Yasmani Tomas, which was the main reason I dropped the guy.
Yeah.
I just, he said 2 games in a row this week, and that's just not going to help you. Now there's something to be said for, well, if these guys can produce enough while they're in there, but I just don't see Tomas as being that much of a monster. And if he is, they're going to start playing him more. But Peralta's back. He got beamed last week, and so he was out for a game. But now he's back in there. They still got Enciarte. Lamb seems to be entrenched over at third base. And so there's just really not a whole lot of – someone's going to be sitting. And, we saw Tower drop Peralta this week, because he's not doing as much. And someone's going to be the odd man out. There's just too much of a logjam as far as the outfield goes with the Diamondbacks. And that's something you have to think about. So
I was interested by this Gerardo Parra drop by Schuff, too, because the guy's on like a 9-game hitting streak, and he's probably going to get traded. And if you trade for him, you're probably going to play him, I would imagine, start him, and not monkey around with this lefty, righty, lefty. But it all depends on where he goes, because Craig Counsell has misused that guy and mismanaged his lineup. He'll have Parra leading off. He'll sit him. He'll have Gomez leading off, Gomez hitting 5th, Gomez hitting 4th. He's had Ryan Braun hitting 2nd the other day. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Set your lineup with these guys. Braun, Gomez should be 3rd, Braun should be 4th, and Lynn should be 5th. Put Parra at 1st. I mean, set a lineup and just stick with it.
Yeah. They don't like doing it, though. They like to tinker.
It doesn't do anything good.
You
like to tinker.
I got a fantasy team, and these guys are, they're getting paid to do a job, and some of them really make some questionable moves, especially when it comes to closers. So.
Well, Milwaukee's dreadful. I mean, 43 wins. They're down there in Philadelphia and Colorado territory. So I would expect they were talking about Gomez going home like Ramirez did. Gomez going home to Minnesota. They're talking about Parra being traded. He would help out some folks in the outfield. So that's going to be a totally different team. And that's if you have any starters for Milwaukee, which I doubt you do. You might want to get rid of them because they're going to bail. These guys, and that's another thing too. If you have a starter for a team and their best players are going to all get traded, they might pitch well, but you ain't getting any wins. You get no run support.
Yeah. Which is the closest thing I need.
There's a lot to think about, man, with pitchers, the individual, and that's, I think, as I'm thinking through the guys who are just steady are the guys who pitch into the late innings. Not a quality start of 6 innings. But what happens so many times is your guy pitches 6 good innings, they pull him, but there's no score, and then the reliever comes in, and then the team scores runs off the other team's reliever. Yeah. But these guys who pitch 7, 8 innings, they're getting the wins.
Yeah.
So you got to go after guys who are going to go deep into games, especially with those Pirates, and they are pitching kind of deep, but I don't know. It's interesting. All right, Darren. Well, you need to have a big week this week.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we've been saying that for like...
I can't have a 5-5 with Domorowski like last time. That was, that can't happen.
Hey, if we find out, we'll do some research. If we find out Brown was playing Chicky and he actually does know what he's doing, we'll strip him, man. There'll be sanctions from the league office.
If he wins the whole thing, there'll definitely be an asterisk by his name. We'll even put it on the trophy.
We'll pull a MLB thing. We'll just like take away transactions for like a couple of weeks, so he can't make any transactions or something.
Yeah,
I like it. All right, man. You still up in Minnesota?
Still in Minnesota. Yep, here for another about a week and a half.
Wow.
Got back at the farm.
Your relatives getting sick of you yet?
Yeah, they probably are. But they haven't told me yet. So.
They're like, we like Cindy, but man, does Darren have to stay this long?
Gosh, what a leech, man! Terrible.
Do we even need to talk about fantasy golf? It's
well,
just me and you, basically.
I think somehow you out earned me as far as earnings go. You didn't even pick one of the tournaments.
It's just me and you too.
Yeah, Jason Day.
Hawk forgot. Hawk had his American lineup set, and then he went to eat dinner, and he came back to set his other one, and he's like, "What? I missed him," and he forgot to set his American too because he missed the other one. He just totally forgot.
And I think he's still ahead of me.
I think he's still winning the whole thing. So
yeah.
All right. Well, this was a little extended. I feel like we hadn't talked in a while because I've been traveling too. But this is a little bit extended video. We'll put this up. I can put this up right now, right? You didn't tell us who you're going to pick up.
You can put it up right now. Put it up right now.
All right. Sounds.
You know what? And I might wait. That's the thing too with the possible trades going on and what I'm thinking about, who I'm playing. I might wait a day or two before I make that first tranny. I've got a couple guys I'm looking at, for later in the week. So, But I can guarantee you I'm not going to go through this week without making a transaction. I'll guarantee you that.
Well, there are a couple of thoughts there. A lot of people like to use those transactions early, either because they got guys sitting on Monday, so they want to get more hitters in, or more usually they want to find one or two guys who are going to pitch twice, right? That those two start guys.
Yeah.
My theory is always, unless you got a great feeling about one of these guys, two bad starts. I'd rather have 0 starts than 2 bad starts.
Well, yeah, and there's they get a first bad start, and then you're just like, and then you're sitting with them for the rest of the week.
Do I drop him? Yeah.
I hope he has a good start next time. I can't drop him because I picked him up for 2 starts. So,
right.
I don't know if I might change gears this week and not do that. That's my only clue I'll give.
I love having 3 transactions sitting there waiting for you on Friday, because then you can look and go, oh, I'm okay in area and whip, so I don't care if I pick up Madaletos and he gets blown up. I just need 5 strikeouts from the guy. I don't even care if he gets a win, It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you show up and you're like, oh, it's tight pitching. I need, and you labor over who to pick up, and there's nobody. And you're like, man, I should have picked up somebody Tuesday because a better guy was pitching. But my personal thing is I kind of like to see if the other guy will kind of blow himself up a little bit, because if you have ERA and whip pretty well with your good guys pitching, then you can sit there and go, oh, I don't really care who I pick up as long as I can get some strikeouts. That's why I picked up Latos on Sunday. I'm like, he might get blown up, but I know he's going to strike out at least 4 or 5 guys. And I had enough of a gap. But I've also played other times where it's down to the wire, and you're looking at these clowns that are pitching Saturday and Sunday, and you're going, why didn't I pick up Ian Kennedy on Tuesday? Or why didn't I pick up, Irvin Santana on Monday,
Yeah.
What an idiot. So 2 ways to play it. But all right, well, we'll anxiously wait and see what you do. And I want to see who Tom Brown uses his last pickup on.
And I'm sure it's someone I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll too. All right, Darren, we'll enjoy the Great White North, Minnesota, for a little bit longer. And we'll talk to you toward the end of the week.
All right, sounds good, Pot.
All right, take care, guys. Have a good week. Bye.